Parents, if your teen is taking the 2025 SATs, you got to make sure you watch this video. In this short video, I'm going to show you the proper way your teen can study for the SAT to increase their score 100 points or more so that they can go to whatever college that they want to without having to spend hours and hours of studying every single day. All right. For those of you guys who don't know me yet, my name is Jared Nguyen, and I've helped hundreds of students increase their scores 100 points or more so that they can go to their dream colleges or qualify for scholarships. In every single video that I post, I give you guys one actionable tip so that your team can get the results that they're looking for in the SAT. Okay. In this video, it's going to be a little bit longer than usual, right? But we're going to be talking about how my students are preparing for the 2025 SATs. Okay. Every student that I go through goes through the same thing, but they do it in a slightly different way. Let me give you a broad overview of how every student goes through it. Step number one, if your teen is taking the SAT in 2025, they must diagnose and enhance their weaknesses. All right. What does that look like, Jared? That means that we need to do a complete diagnostic on your teen's SAT right now, or complete full-length diagnostic, so that we can see exactly where your teen's strengths and where are their weaknesses. This step is so important because a lot of students, what they do is they spend way too much time practicing things that they already know how to do. That's a major issue right there. You should not be practicing things that you're already good at. It doesn't make sense. All right, so we got to make sure that we understand where are they the weakest right now, so that we can give them a step-by-step plan on how to actually increase those scores in those particular weaknesses. Okay, because again, most of your students are student athletes, or they're doing extracurriculars or whatever they're doing. They do not have time to spend hours and hours a day practicing. Okay, they have 30 minutes, maybe an hour maximum every single day. Okay, so that's why this step is so important, so we don't waste time. Step number two is what we call here apply and practice. Now this step, a lot of students don't get this one right. Okay, apply and practice. Once you understand where your teen is actually the most weak, this is where we can give them laser targeted practice and feedback using real SAT problems that mimic the same problems that they're missing right now. That's why step number one is so important. You need to understand where are they even the weakest, so that we can help them. All right, a doctor can't give you guys medicine unless they understand why you're sick. So that's why step number one is actually so important. In step number two, you're probably wondering, okay, Jared, what does it look like to apply and practice? Here's what that looks like. My best students, if you guys have been watching my content, you'll know that my best students are marathon runners. They're not sprinters. They do a little bit of work every single day on just their weaknesses. Let me ask you something. How strong do you feel like your teen would be in their SAT weaknesses if that's all they practice 30 minutes a day every single day until the test? Do you feel like cramming for the exam 2 weeks before is going to be effective? No. All right. Let me give you a story about Naina, one of my students who just graduated the program. She actually scored a 1470 on her first SAT, and I recommended her that she got no more prep. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about her. Before she started working with us, she had no idea what problems she actually needed to work on. Okay, she had no idea what her weaknesses were, or she had a broad idea what her weaknesses were for. And she had no idea how to practice. She was just studying concepts A to Z, right? She had no focus in her studying, and it was making her feel lost, confused, frustrated with how her SAT prep was going. Okay, because she was working on everything, but because of that, she was working on nothing. So all we did with Naina was we figured out where her weaknesses were and give her problems that were exactly the same thing as to what she was weakest in. So she was able to increase her confidence in those areas, stop being so confused on what exactly to study, and most importantly, get the score that she's looking for so that she can go to whatever college that she wants. 1470 for what she needed, she can go anywhere she wants to go. All right? So again, marathon, not a sprint. 20 problems a day, which is about 30 minutes every day, is exactly what you need for this step right here. Okay. Step number three is what we call here simulate success, and this is the most difficult part for students because so many students, they take the SAT Blue Book and they're like, oh, I got a 1600 on the Blue Book, the College Board Blue Book. And for those of you guys who don't know what the Blue Book is just the College Board's practice exam software, right? That's supposed to mimic the exam, but it's notoriously too easy. So they're like, oh yeah, I took the exam on the Blue Book and I got a 1600, but then on the actual exam I only got a 13. Yeah, that's because the SAT Blue Book is not hard enough, right? So to simulate success, you need to make sure that you're doing real practice problems, or sorry, real tests that are slightly harder than the actual exam that you're taking, right? Practice tests that are slightly harder than the actual exam that you're taking. They need to be proctored, and they need to be timed as well, just like on the real SAT. All right. It's not enough to be conceptually prepared for the exam. You need to be mentally prepared for the exam as well. So that's why this step is so important, because in this step, we get rid of any test anxiety that you have, and you make sure that we give them the test confidence that they need to be successful. All right. And again, this is what that looks like. Okay. I typically have my students do a diagnostic test every single week. Okay, not a full one every single week, some sort of diagnostic exam every single week. So week 1, they would do a full length 2.5 hour long diagnostic. Okay, next week we would do a math only diagnostic, which only takes about an hour. And then the next week after that, they would do an English one. And then the week after that, they would either rest or they would restart the cycle all over again at a full diagnostic. Okay, now what does this do? This makes sure that everything that you guys are working on is in a test-like environment. You're in that environment every single week, not just one time every single month, which what most students do. And most importantly, that gives us data. The better data, the more data that we get from these exams, the better we can adjust your team's your team's practice plan based on those exact weaknesses, okay? Because the first time you go through this process is going to be much different than the second time that you go through this process. The weaknesses that you have right now are not going to be the same ones that you had 3 months ago, okay? Because if you're following the process correctly, you should be improving, and as you improve, your weaknesses change. The last step is you got to make sure that you do it all over again. It's not enough to just go step 1, step 2, step 3, and then you're done. You get the 1500. No, that's not how it works, guys. Okay, you got to go through this process multiple times. Okay, because again, the first time you read a book is not going to be the second time. It's not going to be the same the second time you read the book, right? You're going to notice different things the second time you read it. So that's why it's so important to diagnose and enhance multiple times, which is why we take practice exams every single week, right? Not a full one, but we do practice exams every single week and then a full one every single month. All right, that's exactly why we do it like that. All right, that's it. Everything everything you need to know. Okay, you can easily do this on your own. The most important part is you diagnose and enhance, because that's step number 1. If you don't know step number 1, you cannot do numbers 2 and number 3. Okay, you would just be wasting time. So step number 1, on my Facebook group, I have a free practice exam that you can take to do it, so that you can figure out which of the 64 SAT concepts you're spending too much time on and which ones you're getting wrong over and over again. If you want that, just go to my Facebook group. Very easy to do. I do free audits on this, so if you want a free audit on your teen's latest diagnostic, go ahead and do that on my profile. Okay. Hopefully, guys, this was helpful for you guys. As always, have a great rest of your day. And if you have any questions on how to apply this for your teen, all you need to do is send me a DM. Okay. Take care and have a great rest of your day.